Hey everybody! Welcome back to Northernlion, please abiding by Isaac AFTERBIRTH Plus. This is the first episode recorded since I've returned from TwitchCon. I gotta let you know, against all odds, nobody ever would have expected it. I've come down with what's known as Con Flu. Let's do Maggie, maybe negative Mega Satan Void. If you're not familiar, Con Flu is it's a very serious disease for YouTubers and Twitch streamers. I don't want you to be worried. It's not like KAN flu, like I've come down with the flu of, a Mongolian horse archer steppe tribe leading conqueror from the 14th century. It's not the Genghis Khan flu, nor is it the Kangaskhan flu. Of the Pokemon variety. It's convention flu. And it makes you not believe in germ theory. Because you go, I know, this year has been, it's made me question, I gotta get my own 23andMe profile done, or, Ancestry.ca or something. I don't know how it works, okay? Despite holding the highest level accreditation in scholastic achievement for biology, a bachelor's degree from a Canadian university. I got sick in June. I got sick in September. It's now, it's basically November and I'm sick again. Is it 3 different pathogens? Do I need to have my tonsils removed? Do I need to, replace my white blood cells with the white blood cells of a robot? Like a Terminator T-1000 sort of deal? I don't know. I'll tell you what it actually is. Okay? First off, you're shaking hands, you're meeting people, you're, shaking hands with somebody, maybe they sneezed 6 hours ago, they shake your hand, before you rub your hand, or before you wash your hands, you rub your eyeball, it's all over. You didn't even, it's like in 28 days later, when the guy gets the blood in his eyeball, and then he goes like, oh, is this bad? Yeah, it's bad, dude. You're a zombie. You just don't realize it yet. And then, mercifully, at least it doesn't hit you with the symptoms right away. It's like, hey, enjoy yourself for a couple of days. But then after that, it's like getting sick at a convention really is making a deal with the devil. It's like you can have a fun weekend, but then after that, there's going to be maybe 3 or 4 days where it's messed up. But, I caught the symptoms early, started medicating, feeling good. Just a throat that's very angry. And I have to point out, once I saw our flight itinerary, I was like, I'm probably gonna get sick. First off, you wouldn't even believe it. I'm so popular. People are coming up to me, hey, NL, sign my baby. Hey, NL, my wife and I met because of you. Hey, NL, run for president. And I'm like, I can't do that until they shred the Constitution. But anyway, your support means the world to me either way. But, so, you're meeting a lot of people. And then on top of that, my flight yesterday to come back to Vancouver left the airport at 8 a.m. For anyone that has not been on a flight or been to an airport, flown internationally, you have to be there 2 hours early. Okay, no problem. You got to be at the airport at 6 on a Monday. Already a good time. Excuse me. That hurts. But then you gotta wake up at 5:30 to be at the airport by 6 because you gotta check out of your hotel as well. But then you don't have to wake up at 5:30. You gotta wake up at 4:45 because everybody's got a shower. You get the idea. So, not the greatest sleep of my life the night before. Combine that with the airport, and I was like, we're destined to have 1 or 2 bad days. But actually, now that I'm talking, I feel so much better. I had really, really bad laryngitis yesterday, and I was like, well, par for the course. So we may, I can feel my strength returning. Yes! Yes! No, don't blow up the demon judgment. That was my ticket to paradise. Heaven on a bun with an onion slice. So I'm happy to be back. You know the deal. If you've been watching for any length of time, you've heard me talk about how I feel about conventions. Most of the, you know, we went to TwitchCon, not because we necessarily have a vested interest in TwitchCon, but it's a convention for the audience for the most part that we also spun into like kind of a pseudo vacation. So, you know, we did our meet and greet. We met people around San Jose. It was really cool, but it's not like a convention that for the most part as a streamer I would probably choose to go to most of the time. It's also like, I don't know, Twitch is, I don't want to say weird, because it's a cop-out to say that, like, Twitch culture is weird, but definitely the stuff, I didn't feel like the stuff that I do on Twitch is the stuff that is largely what most people are attending TwitchCon for. And I mean this without a single shred of judgment. Of course, you know, a lot of people on Twitch stream video games, and it's doubtlessly probably still the most popular part of Twitch, but when it comes to Twitch culture, I really feel like, you know, IRL, just chatting, you know, traveling, street, stuff like that, is really like the spirit of TwitchCon, is that it's kind of a celebration of that, or it's a celebration of everyone, but I did feel like the IRL culture was a little bit more the focus of TwitchCon, not necessarily from Twitch's end, but from the attendees at least. Let me out! But yeah, it was cool. As always, when I'm at the convention, it's nice to see people, glad to be there, and then on the last day, I'm like, get me out of here, I want to go home. And now that I'm home, I'm like, I never want to go to a convention again, but in 6 months when PAX tickets go on sale, I'm going to be like, oh, we got to get those. Oh well, that's the cycle. Gotta say, the game is, it's not really meeting me here with the kind of celebratory run that I would hope to have. Like, you know, Mark Antony returns from his campaigns. What's the word I'm looking for here? In Asia Minor, he gets a triumph. The Roman people say Mark Antony. First off, your 2002 song, I Need to Know. Absolute classic, Latin-inspired banger that gets, you know, kind of forgotten about with the likes of Bailamos and, you know, Livin' La Vida Loca and Mambo No. 5. It said Jennifer Lopez is Waiting for Tonight. Secondarily, here's Confetti. Here's, you know, somebody whispering in your ear, you're mortal, just so you don't get a big head. What do I get when I return? Maggie Run, default damage, probably no deal with the devil here, but we'll see. Mom's Contact is good, the HP is fine. Just a couple more keys would make me a little bit happier as well. Alright, I guess we will be going then. This is terrible. We're not screwed yet, but we could be screwed pretty simply here. Hey! Like, we're kind of in train wreck territory. It's a little premature to say. And again, Mom's Contact, super nice. Don't get me wrong. There's always an ironic key. I feel like super unconfident in our ability to get a deal with the devil here. So, but yeah, that's the problem. We're already caught in that cycle, and I'm gonna do my best to break it, because, you know, it's hard to break it right now, but it'll be even harder later. So, you know, we want to not take damage on this floor, get the deal with the devil, possibly say no to it, but, you know, beggars can't be choosers in a situation like this. And then make our way from that point forward, but yeah, for now it's a little touchy. I'll think about it. I mean, red chests are pretty important. I'm just thinking, like, man, if we had just gone in a different direction to start the last floor, things could have looked so much different, because we would have had Spirit Hearts protecting us, potentially, at least. Come on, come on, come on. Anyway. It's always nice to be back in Vancouver. I do have to say, I am one of those people, when I'm in the US, a couple of states I'm a huge fan of. California is one of them. I know we talk about it in on the show on occasion, but sometimes we do a bit that's like, you know, what's the best state, what's the worst state? Obviously, we have different opinions, but one thing that comes up in chat is there's only like 3 or 4 different archetypes of American state that ever get chosen for worst. One of them would be a state usually in the deep south. People will go like, Arkansas. I'm not trying to insult anybody. This is not me saying this. Sometimes people go hard on the Florida man stuff. They say, Florida. And then, sometimes people will choose a Midwestern state or a state that is largely, I don't want to say forgotten about, but a state that doesn't always come to mind quickly. For example, they'll be like, South Dakota. And then the other one is that they pick a state for political reasons that they dislike, which could be part of the Deep South, but also sometimes people will be like, Oregon, California. California seems to get the brunt of it. I understand why why California is kind of a flashpoint state for some people. You know, California has got a big head, and so do Californians. That being said, you know, they also do have like the 5th largest economy on Earth as a single state, which is pretty amazing. And I just gotta say, like, methinks the lady doth protest too much. What's wrong with California, dude? Great climate, big cities, good cuisine. I don't necessarily like Los Angeles. I've made that known many times. But, you know, we were in San Jose, which is like an hour south of San Francisco, and I was like, you know, I prefer San Francisco, but San Jose, also kind of cool. If you live in San Jose, consider it to have the seal of approval. I like being in the U.S., but, well, it's not to say I don't like being in the U.S. There's just parts of the U.S. that culturally I don't necessarily resonate with, and I've said it many times. Boston's one of them. As a lifelong Canadian, except for that 1 year that I can't shut up about where I lived in Korea, and as a result, I'm an expert in all things related to Asian culture, politics, etc., etc. Excuse me. Try this. I was just hoping for Magic Mush. Is that so much to ask? Apart from that year, I'm a lifelong Canadian, and the relatively cold nature of service in Boston, it rattled me, you know? It was like, it was the likes of which I've never experienced before. You know, I'm used to going to a restaurant and people are like, hey, what can I get for you today? Instead, you know, you go to Boston, the server walks over to your table and you go, yeah? And then they just shrug and go, what do you have? And I'm like, okay, I get it. You're not being rude. It's just, you know, different strokes for different folks. Anyway, I've talked about that more. It's telling, I suppose. E. coli is not very helpful here, but it's telling, I suppose, that on the way back from another city, all I can talk about is a different city. So it probably tells you, overall, my impressions of San Jose. Positive. Cool culture. But simultaneously, probably not likely to live there. Which is a shame, because your hockey team is better than ours, but that's in the salary cap era, that's liable to change as time goes on. Anyway, so we have a real, actual chance at getting a deal with the devil here. Do not squander it. And I'll tell you straight up, if we get a deal with the devil, if it's any good, I'm taking it. Because I have to. If I don't, I'm gonna die. You know what I will say? I wanted to ask, if you live in one of those American cities, I know San Francisco was one for a while. San Jose definitely has them. There's this thing, it's a startup, or perhaps even a fully fledged company at this point. I don't know when it becomes a startup, when it becomes a whatever, but let's be honest. I may know how to program at least a little bit, but that doesn't mean I'm in the tech sector. You know what? I'm going to focus for a second. I want to give this anecdote the attention it deserves. Okay. So, you know what? I'm still going to focus. I want to give this anecdote the attention it deserves. 100% deal with the devil chance unless we squander it. Thank you. A Tears upgrade. Thank you. Krampus. Actually, like, temporarily, I'm very sad. But long term, this might be great for us because we can get an item while still getting a deal with the devil. And I'll tell you straight up, I am going to abandon Yumheart if we get Krampus's head. That's the easiest choice I've made in a long time. We need offense, and we're going to get it. That might have even been better than Lump of Coal. Okay. So there's these scooters that have kind of taken over. They haven't made it up to Canada yet, and I'm thankful every single day for the fact that that's the case. But these scooters that are run by these companies called Bird or Lime, there's probably other ones, and it's basically a Razor scooter, but it also has a motor in it, and the motor works. I'm not an engineer, in case that's not abundantly clear, but basically I believe that as you pedal, there is battery power as well, but as you pedal, you are essentially building up the motor. So you pedal like 3 or 4 times, and then you hit the throttle, and you can go relatively fast. Like, I would say that you could go roughly as fast as if you were sprinting, but without actually exerting any effort whatsoever. And they cost, it's like $1 to rent it out. I mean, it's like a car to go, or let's see, a zip car. You know, it's like a micro rental service for these transportation devices. Cost 15 cents a minute and $1 overall to get them going. And I'm gonna start by appealing to the opposite. Okay, I understand why some people would like these a lot. Let me count the ways. Okay, first off, if you got a long distance to go that you would prefer to not walk, because it might take you like, I don't know, 40 minutes, you could take one of these scooters instead. It would probably take you, I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes. What is that, like $4? Something along those lines. And you're not actually putting emissions into the, the atmosphere. Well, except for your own breath, I suppose. But, at some point you gotta be reasonable. It's a little bit of exercise, you're outdoors. Now I'm going to go to the opposite point. So I can understand, because I did get some people that were like, when I tweeted negatively about them, because I feel negatively about them, some people were like, why do you hate them? They're going to revolutionize interurban transit. And I'm like, yo, dude, we already have that. It's called the subway. But regardless, not my finest moment there. I'm going to now go with the negatives. And here's the negative about those scooters. If you're a tourist, it's a lot of fun. You leave your restaurant, you go, hey, why would we walk home when we could take a skateboard, basically? But if you're a resident of San Jose, I'm sure you were just annoyed nonstop by tourists like myself riding those scooters on the street. Now, when you use the app, it says, hey, just so you know, here's a couple of things. First off, legally, you have to be wearing a helmet or you're breaking the law. Nobody's wearing a helmet, myself included. It's not like I bought a helmet just so I can go on these scooters, I'm from out of town. I didn't know that was in the itinerary. Yeah, I think we're good to go. Secondly, you can't ride them on the sidewalk unless otherwise designated. You have to ride them on the street as if it's like a bicycle. And, Kate and I looked at that and we went, we're not going to ride it on the street. Are you insane? I got no helmet. So everybody, us included, was riding them on the sidewalk. We did not crash into any pedestrians. But I have to imagine that it probably does happen on the regular. You probably have the liability as the person using the app. It doesn't necessarily help you out. If you get crashed into when you get a concussion or something like that. So, we used them, and they were fun. But simultaneously, I was like, man, if this ever made it to Vancouver, I would protest. I would be at City Hall, like, get this out of my city. Okay, thank you so much for the rate of fire increase. I'm not trying to be negative, but simultaneously, if you could give me some kind of pickup that's damage appropriate, I'd be very helpful. Or I'd feel very helped. Anyway, I wanted to see, if you're part of the cities that have gone through this, I would love to know how you feel about it. Because, I live in a major metropolitan area. We have incredible cycling infrastructure here. People, by and large, do not really, this is one of the things I hear people complain about cyclists all the time, is they ride on the sidewalk when they shouldn't. Do we have cyclists who ride on the sidewalk, or do we have parts of the city where cyclists tend to ride on the sidewalk because of the fact that the infrastructure is unsafe? Yes, there's a few parts. Where, a few parts of the city for sure, where cyclists will ride on the sidewalk, and it is annoying as a pedestrian, I'll admit. But, with these scooters, no, but I don't feel comfortable piloting a Razor scooter on the street. Like, I wish that I could have more confidence in my ability, I suppose, but I really just don't. feel like I'm constantly in a speed wobble. You know, and I'm only one, like, big rock on the road away from taking a fall left into traffic and getting sideswiped by a C-Class Mercedes or something like that. Instantly dead. All the sum total of my IMDb knowledge wiped from planet Earth for no good reason. So, I think realistically, they're probably going to get ridden on the sidewalk all the time. And that sounds extremely annoying. It's already hard enough to walk sometimes in this city. And then on top of that, to have to dodge scooters. And maybe scooters predominantly ridden by people who don't ride them very much on a regular basis and may also be intoxicated. You know, I would rather have them on a scooter than behind the wheel of an automobile. But still, I'm all for, you know, low carbon ways to get around. Don't get me, when we rode our scooters and then we checked them out, you know, the app afterwards is like, hey, you saved 133 grams of carbon added to the atmosphere. And I'm like, well, did I though? Because I probably would have just walked. Oh, yeah, but when you walk, that means you use calories, and when you use calories, that means you need to eat more. Okay, we'll talk about that in a sec. And to eat more, like if you had an ounce of beef, well, that takes 4,500 liters. Okay, I mean, you're right. You're absolutely correct. I do not disagree. But simultaneously, you know. F you. There, how do you feel about that? I just won the argument. I swore at you. I'm just saying, it's one of those things I love to have access to as a tourist, but would not want in my own city. And selfishly, I am very much... Are you familiar with the expression NIMBY? Stands for not in my backyard. It's a big part of civic politics in Vancouver because people are like, hey, if we want the city to become livable, like cost-wise, we're gonna need densification. We need to build like high towers, you know, we need to blah blah blah. And I don't know anything about civic policy really. I don't know whether that's, pardon me, true, common sense, what have you. Wow, incredible. This is a wild run. If we could just get the negative, that would maybe be my best outcome here. But anyway, I'm very much not a NIMBY sort of guy. I don't care. Build a town. I mean, I'm in the demo that's not supposed to be NIMBY. You know, I'm young. I don't own a home that I bought because it's like, you know, it's got a beautiful view cone of the Pacific Mountains. But still, simultaneously, I don't care, man. Yes, in my bag. Build it. See if I care. But I'm definitely, I suppose I gotta recognize I am a NIMBY, at least when it comes to these scooters. I don't want to see them. I know you might be, it depends where you're from. Some people out there, reasonable people can disagree on this, you know? But some people out there are probably like, I agree with NL. Some people are probably like, I don't see what the big deal is, just dodge the scooters. Trust me, when I grew up in a town of, well, I grew up in a town of like 1,000 people. But the city adjacent had like 100 and something thousand. And the scooters make perfect sense there. Especially because, like, downtown is on a slight hill. So when you're walking, you know, back to uptown from downtown, having that scooter would be really nice. And the sidewalks are not particularly crowded. It's relatively reasonable that you could not even come close to having a risk of collision on your average trip. How many eyeball items do... I guess there's no eyeball transformation, unfortunately, but... So we want to get rid of this if possible. Just for something better, though. Well, okay, wait, hold on. I said hold on, dude. 2 of clubs is good. We got stars, bad trip. We're not going to need bad trip because we're going to take 9 lives. Yes, this is correct. Anyway. But, you know, especially in downtown Vancouver, dude, it's a nightmare. Like, the streets are packed. And the roads are packed as well. For many reasons, one of which is that, you know, the downtown core of the city was built when there were like 600,000 people in the metropolitan area, and now there's like 5 times that. But also, you know, it's just busy is where people want to be. I'll check I don't regret that one. It's not that bad. Take me out. Rotten baby. Finally, we have an item. And I mean, this run it's bad. Don't get me wrong. But the fact that we have 5 rate of fire means we can build off it. Now we got 14 bombs, so we got a real chance to probably not just be able to use them in combat until it's no longer necessary, but we can fight angel statues, obviously. Anyway. I mean, there's things that you would want in a city you visit, but not want in your city. I'm trying to, like, a good example for me would be like in Las Vegas. There's no last call. As a tourist, that's cool, because you're like, hey, I got no work tomorrow. I'm here behaving badly. I can stay out until, you can stay out until 9 a.m. if you wanted to. Now, I wouldn't do that, because as my age advances, now I get this little hormonal message in my brain, usually around like 11:30 or midnight, that says, hey idiot, go to bed, you're tired. And as a youngster, for whatever reason, it was easier to ignore. Now that I'm older, my brain is like, you can't be trusted with this, I'm just gonna shut off, and then, you know, please go to bed. But I would not want that in my own city. I think. I'm a responsible adult. I trust myself to not misuse it. But simultaneously, you know, I value the fact that if you hear, you know, a place nearby being super loud, and it's a commercial establishment, it's very reasonable that by the hour of 2 a.m., it's going to be over. Usually, sober people aren't that loud. You know, alcohol causes hearing problems. People, they shout, they turn up the music because they're like, this song rules, and then nobody ever turns it down again for the course of the entire evening, so people shout even louder to talk over the music, and then people across the room are shouting because other people are shouting. You see how it is. So I like living in a city that has a last call. I'm trying to think of other examples. I think another example would just be like having a district like the French Quarter in New Orleans. Now, I will say, Vancouver does not have a French Quarter. You know, the French Quarter, if you're not familiar, as far as I know, or sorry, Bourbon Street is what I'm thinking of, not the French Quarter, which might be the same, I've never been, but Bourbon Street is like a street in New Orleans, Louisiana, it's like the party street. Lots of alcohol, jazz bars, stuff like that. I'm not saying, please don't take that as having a hint of disdain. Jazz bars. Oh, those jazz bars with their debutantes behaving badly. No, it's not like that. It's just like, it's the party street. You know, it's like South Beach or, you know, what is it? I forget what it is in Montreal, but anyway. Vancouver does have one of those. And it sucks. It's called Granville Street. It runs like the length of the city, but where it goes into downtown, literally, and you know, you're gonna disbelieve this at least to some extent, but it's actually like martial law there. The street is blocked off when you come into downtown by police cruisers every Saturday and Sunday night. You literally cannot drive down it. It makes it a real pain in the butt to get around. I wish that it did not exist in my city. Plus, people get like sucker punched there somewhat regularly, stabbed, etc., etc. It's just not a nice part of town for a local. But I understand as a tourist, you're like, hey, we're gonna party. What should we do? You're like, just go to Granville Street. Are you under the age of 24? Go to Granville Street. Yo, we have a chance. Negative Seraphim, a little bit better. Still 3.5 damage we're working on. I'm just happy my voice feels good now. I feel a lot better. I'm gonna bring something up to you. I know it's been a little light on trip anecdotes. It's because there really just aren't that many, to be honest. I'm just feeling refreshed and happy to be back. But, on my flight back, I told you, it was so early in the morning. It was so early, I did not watch a movie. Literally, 99% of the time I'm on an airplane and watch a movie, even if I feel like garbage, just because I'm like, what else am I going to do? You know what I did on this flight? Oh, we got to check, obviously. I turned on an episode of Hardcore History and just closed my eyes. I didn't really sleep. I sort of like half slept. Never half sleep because I'm not a half slepper. Drink a lot of soda, so they call me Dr. Pepper. I started to watch Solo, a Star Wars story, but it was a 2-hour flight. It was a 2-hour and 45-minute long movie, and also it was really loud, and I was very tired. So after like 10 minutes, I just went nah, turned it off, and got a little half sleep going on. On the way there, though, I don't know if I'm the victim of trolling, copy pasta, etc., etc. On the way there, I watched a movie that's been a little divisive. It's called Ready Player One. And I like the concept of Ready Player One, I have to admit. It's, you probably don't need me to tell you. It's like a, not cyberpunk, but it's a near-future science fiction movie. Earth's, like, pretty bad, so people escape to this virtual reality alternative universe called the Wasteland, and then it's like a Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory sort of thing, or a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory sort of thing, where the creator dies and he says, hey, like, whoever solves all these 3 hidden Easter eggs I found in the game will get access to Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory, and you're going to become the heir to my fortune, blah blah blah. Anyway, I know that the movie is so divisive that to even say I think it's a cool concept is the kind of thing that's going to have people thinking my IQ has dropped like 10 points. I think we still want to stick with what we got. I will peep the curse room, though. I'm willing to take a stab at this, despite the... Alright, definitely should not have done that. I'll take it. Now remember, you're going down. You're going down on this one. Now, I watched the movie. I don't think the movie is very good, in my opinion. I love Steven Spielberg. There are some cool action scenes. It's a little petty, but one of the things that really got me about the movie is that, the bulk of it takes place not in the real world, but in like this virtual world. So everybody's represented by like a cartoon avatar, and I was like, this looks bad. I'm not saying it looks unrealistic. It's just like the art style of the movie, or the art direction, did not appeal to me whatsoever. I was like, you watch like this is an unfair example for Ready Player One, but if you've ever seen Blade Runner 2049, the world it looks like something you don't want to inhabit, but the movie representing the world is gorgeous. You're like, I want to see more of this world. Inside of the Wasteland and Ready Player One, I was like, dude, please stop. I never want to see anything more out of this. Now, again, reasonable people can disagree there. I'm not worried about this death. It's very likely to happen. That's why we got 9 lives. Then, so I tweeted. I think it's like watchable. It's not horrendous. But, and I think a lot of people will like it. Don't take this the wrong way. Like, somebody out there is going to be watching this. They're going to be like, 36, and I'm going to say, like, particularly if you're a little on the younger side, I think you'll enjoy it. But I don't mean that only kids can enjoy the movie, or young adults, etc., etc. I'm just saying I think I could definitely see it appealing to me more if I were, like, in my early 20s, for example. Well, we got to live here. So I think we want Lil Delirium. And then we cannot be hit. I mean, we can be. We would prefer not to be. Don't use bombs over here. Way too dangerous. Get a second angel statue. No thank you. Excuse me, Delirium, frig off. I can't believe we got the second key piece. Now, in spite of all that, our odds of fighting Mega Satan are relatively low. Okay, I'm gonna finish my train of thought now. It's a hard run to have anecdotes on, dude, because, like, we got 3.5 damage, 0.85 speed. We're on the friggin' womb 2. We'll be killed on this room. Yeah, it's just not conceivable to dodge those with 0.85 speed. Anyway, so I was tweeting about it, and I saw Ready Player One. I gotta give that movie a 5 out of 10. I got 2 or 3 tweets. You're probably watching the video. Everybody becomes the victim of an anecdote at some point. That's all I'm going to say about it, okay? I've been the victim of my own anecdotes on many occasions. Thought maybe we'd get HP there. They said, yeah, the movie's pretty good, but it really gets elevated to beyond a 5 out of 10 if you're a child of the 80s and you understand the references. And I got so mad internally, because I understood every reference in that freaking movie, okay? The most subtle reference is, you know, they'll be like, hey, let's go to the Gygax wing of the wing of the library. And you're like, okay. Like, no, if my parents watch the movie, they're gonna be like, Gygax wing, what is that? You know, anybody, I don't even play Dungeons and Dragons, I know who Gary Gygax is, okay? So it's not, none of the references in that movie were lost on me. It's like Wreck-It Ralph, you know, like, although Wreck-It Ralph is a lot better. You know, someone will show up on screen, and they'll be like Goro from Mortal Kombat. And I just have to imagine that, you know, I guess you saw me make the tweet and you assume, like, I don't know who Goro is, like one of the most famous franchises of all time. I don't even play Mortal Kombat. I said I'm a nerd, you know. And then, you know, there's just stuff in the movie that is like, it's like nerd face, if that makes sense. Like, you know, there's a scene where like the creators of this virtual reality world are talking to one another, and the one guy, you know, he's like a businessman. He's like, you know, we gotta expand the wasteland, or sorry, the oasis. I think I keep calling it the wasteland, but we got to expand the oasis. You know, we got to make it an even bigger thing. And then the other guy's like, I think it's perfect as is. And then he's talking about, and he's like, you know, some things are just perfect, you know. And I can't remember what he says to lead into it, but one of the things he says is asteroids. And I'm like, really? I played a lot of asteroids. You can think it's perfect, especially because you're like a fictional character. But that's just kind of strikes me as a little bit. Again, it's just like, I know that reference. There was, and I didn't think it would be like that. You know, you can hear me talk, and if you go back to like the Bloodborne streams, there's a lot of anti-Ready Player One circle jerking going on, and I said, I bet it'll still be good as Steven Spielberg, and it's kind of like at least a neat concept that hasn't been done to death before. There might be a few examples, obviously, that are in the same vein, but. And people were like, nah, it's gonna suck. And then it got a 73 on Rotten Tomatoes. I understand the qualms there, but anyway, it was relatively well liked, or at least liked by a lot of people. And I said, you know, smugly, I said to myself, ooh, looks like I've done it again, internet. I'm smarter than you. And then I saw the movie, and I was like, these people were 100% right. There is a lot of that movie that's like, do you recognize video game? Do you know what the car from the Back to the Future movies is called? Well, boy, do I have a movie for you. Do you think that nobody else on planet Earth knows what the car from the Back to the Future movie? You get the idea. I still thought it was pretty okay. 5 out of 10 is an alright score in my world. But I would not watch it again. I really thought I could beat the system on that one. Now, I do want to point out, we're only one Guppy item away from becoming Guppy. I'm like 1/3 confident in every outcome here. 1/3 we lose outright. 1/3 we beat Mega Satan. 1/3 we beat the Lamb but die to Mega Satan. I feel like the left hand is a very important part of this process right now. We're kind of just throwing everything we have and making this stick. Please be like an Emperor card. The stars. Probably acceptable. Let it ride, baby. I hate it. Thank you. Alright. Anyway, that was the one movie I saw. That's my review. I thought Ready Player One. I'd pushed for it a couple times, you know. Kate's like, "What do you want to do this weekend?" I'm like, "You want to go to the movies?" I don't have any merely a passing interest in Ready Player One, but still, you know, it's at least something that is like I would have liked to have seen. Sometimes we'll be browsing the pay-per-view section because I'm 100 years old, and you'll be like, "How about Ready Player One?" And she's like, she was right, 100%, not even close. Whoa, to be in my sort of thing. Anyway. We did get use out of Bad Trip there. I love these rooms because even with 3.5 damage, at least the enemies kill each other, right? And our luck stat, I got high hopes it's going to take us there, dude. We're one puberty pill away. This is a little close for comfort. But yeah, that's what I watched. I also watched a few episodes of The People vs. O.J. Simpson, but I'm mad because I watched it in our hotel. It's a mini-series that came out like 2 years ago. I'm mad, though, because I watched it in our hotel, and it was before I realized it's only on American Netflix. It's not on Canadian Netflix. So when I got home, I was like, oh, they're finally starting the trial. And then I can't finish it through Netflixical means. So I'm thinking, like, that was a terrible way to do that. This seems very likely to be where we'll die. We really, we only have one life now. We really, like 1,000 reallys we have to preserve our limited amount of resources. And all I mean by that is that, you know, we only have one charge on Krampus's head. We only have one extra bomb, so if we die and have to come back into this fight, you know, it makes the Fallen fight that much harder. So I'm thinking, you know, we get through this phase. We're gonna try our darndest. Just I was gonna say let your body do the talking. That doesn't really seem to be emblematic of what I'm actually meaning. We've done it. Okay, so that was what I wanted to do, is use our Krampus's head charge to get through that. So even just doing that, I think this is a relatively successful episode. I mean, when you look at our stats, this is definitely not the kind of run you'd be, like, thrilled to see. And then we're just hoping for a guppy miracle, really of any sort. Holy Grail is fine. That should be yeah, it's another HP upgrade. Another range upgrade. We have to make a choice, and the choice is, do you take left hand and hope to get a guppy item, which would probably win you the game, or do you dump left hand, which is what we've done so far, so you can probably guess my choice here, and then what's the win condition there? Well, it's very simple. You have 3 luck, so you're hoping to get some items. Could really take you to the next level. I don't know if it's gonna happen, though. I will tell you straight up, I feel like on 3 HP, Mega Satan is definitely not the right call yet. We would probably lose. I would rather at least have the chance to get a lamb kill, which I think we could do on 3 HP, although it's a little unlikely in and of itself. I mean, this is... To be at 3.5 damage this late is a sin. That was very dumb. HP, please. Okay, we may die and lose our HP, which would be devastating. However, Booger Tears are a very strong choice. Kinda just trying to stack it up, stack it in. Let me begin. There's other lyrics that go here. I can't win. Get up, stand up. When the song comes on in your 6th grade dance, this is the only one you have to dance to because it tells you how to do it in the song. Jump, jump, jump. Thank you. Metal plate. Reflects some damage. Also gives us a Spirit Heart. Main purpose of that Spirit Heart, you know, is incredibly unlikely this Spirit Heart will be alive at the end of the game. But it might, thank you, be able to last until we can get some more red hearts. This is not a good place to use Krampus's head, because it should be unnecessary. Unless Krampus's head is the difference between getting hit and losing our HP and not getting hit and preserving our HP. Did see Bob's brain there, trying to sidle itself in for some action. No, I saw it, but I thought we could get out of the way. Okay. Shouldn't be too bad. Freeze is working very nicely. I mean, this is, to get enough items, like, most of our good items have basically shown up on this floor already. So, to lose just because we don't have the kind of pace necessary to keep things going after getting these good items, it would be devastating. But we also have to accept it's kind of a numbers game. You know, we're kind of just stuck. You know, the sins of the previous floors do pass to this one. Explosivo, also potentially very good. At this point, I think we have the damage to succeed. The single most valuable thing would be a speed upgrade so I can get away from my own Explosivo shots, and also the shots of the enemies around me, or even the enemies who just chased you down. I'm proud of this one nonetheless, though. You know, you never know, sometimes, I mean, I wasn't away for very long, but sometimes you come back and you're not seeing the game too well. I was worried about that, especially with a little bit of, you know, illness brain today. But it definitely, like, I feel like I'm seeing the game pretty well. We did early take some damage we probably didn't have to take, but you can... I mean, you got a decent excuse when you're Maggie, and you don't have the pill yet, because your speed is garbage. You know, if I look back and I do, like, a post-mortem on this run, what's the number one thing that screwed us? I think not getting the item room on the second floor. Rune bag, dude, you could do it. If you drop me an Algiz before we die, don't shoot. Don't shoot, you son of a gun. You son of a gun. Okay. Just drop me an Algiz. You drop me an Algiz, at least we can beat the lamb. Ludo. I don't know, actually. Because with Booger Tears, I think we're better off without it. See, even my decision-making brain is better than usual. Maybe I should take a break more often. Algiz. You have the power. That is literally useless. If we get hit, we die. Algiz, you have the power. Rune bag, appear to me. Never a doubt in my mind that we were gonna live there. 100% confidence. It's not Algiz, it's Yara, but I know we have a battery charge, so I'm tempted, but at this point it's probably been too long for us to justify using Krampus's head on this fight specifically. What? I don't know what hit me, but I'm very happy with myself, to be honest. I'm proud of the way that run went. There's your seed. Oh, Jovi! That's the nastiest seed. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. It was a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Follow me on Twitch for all that live content. Twitch.tv/NorthernLion. And I'll see you next time. See ya.